morning. Again, Alain, thank you so much. Sorry.
You're good.
Thanks for coming on and hanging out with me. Just before we went live, Alain and I were very deeply discussing sports, which is a classic digital media track conversation, right? Everyone wants to hear about sports on this channel, I'm sure.
We were ostracizing all of our listeners. Classic fashion.
That's right.
I am always excited when somebody does at cons come up to me and be like, you're the sports guy. Like, what an amazing I've managed to create a brand I never thought I'd have. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The sports nerd.
And I'm the sports guy.
Yeah. I've guessed it on a few sports podcasts. That's not how they knew me. Let me make that clear. But I used to, I don't know if we didn't talk about it, but I used to play football. I used to play football for a long time. I was going to play in college, and then I broke myself and decided that probably wasn't the right path for me health-wise. Okay. Yeah.
What did you break?
I did. I had my recruitment in my senior year. So past recruitment, I had third degree ACL sprain. I broke the growth plates on the top of my foot playing a guy named Chris Thomas. He's an amazing striker. He got drafted. I don't know where he is now, but he's just a super. He was in the Red Bull system for a while. And then I had I broke my nose for the third time and had my third concussion. And and it just was getting to that point of like, for me, I'm a svelte guy. I'm pretty like, you could fit me in very tight spaces. But I was like eating 5 meals a day and working out 5 days a week to try to keep just a little bit more weight on me to play at that level. And it was just wearing me down. I finally figured out that maybe I shouldn't, maybe this wasn't for me. Maybe it's not the right path. Yeah.
Oh, I had to eat so much, and it was so
I know.
fun.
At this age, you say that and it's like, oh, you goddamn bastard. But when you're a kid.
Yeah, no, I get it. When I was younger, it was always my problem keeping weight on as well. No matter what I did, no matter what I ate. And I mean, I would eat constantly.
Yeah.
Still, And then I turned 28 and it was like,
it's the beast that you've been putting on, just sprinting up. Yeah.
Yeah. Turns out you reap what you sow. The world, the world is sometimes just to the choices that you make.
Be careful what you wish for as a teen. Right. You just might get it and be a professional dungeon master, and then you don't know what to do with your life. Yeah. Yeah, I would have never. This is kind of. I know we'll get into more stuff like this, but like if I couldn't have even processed being a professional dungeon master as a teen. Like that's so not even possible. Seems crazy.
Like because of who you were, or because of the culture.
I was gonna say the answer is both to that question, but it's especially because there might have been people who were doing that at that time, but I don't think so. I don't think before the internet. Yeah.
There's no way before the internet, right?
Yeah.
Just because even if you were the best DM in your area, that made you one of like 5 people, right?
Yeah.
That were DMing in any given city. For a long time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know tabletop gaming was pretty big, but it's nothing compared to what it is now.
Yeah.
And B, no one talked about it.
Yeah.
It was like
it was very forbidden.
Yeah. It was.
I didn't want anyone to know.
Suicide, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. I definitely, you did the Latin teacher gave you your first book because you couldn't buy it yourself because you felt too awkward to actually bring it up to the cash register, and you didn't want somebody to label you a Satanist. So, you ended up.
I guess we're just going to jump into it because I want to talk about this a lot, like that that area, right? So let me do a quick intro spiel here.
Yeah.
I just want to welcome our chat here to the DragonCon Digital Media Track Creator Spotlight, a bi-weekly feature on the Digital Media Track Twitch channel, here where you are right now. We're so excited to have you here as we build hype for DragonCon 2021. We know now what format the event will take. We're gonna have a live, we're gonna have a real live con with real live people. Alain, if you are comfortable, I am going to hug you. I'm so excited. If
I'm
not,
trying to meet my quota.
We can elbow bump or high five from across the room or whatever. We've got long enough arms between the two of us.
It's true.
And also there will be a digital component. So I hope that between all of this stuff, y'all, the listeners, the viewers, will have the experience that you want in a safe, fun, positive way. And we will be there all along the way to celebrate with you. This week, I have Alain from Goblins and Growlers and Quid Pro Roll live here with me. Alain, what did I mess up there in that intro?
I think that you and I have a panel together at DragonCon. We have one on Friday, I think, if I remember right. I'm not gonna get too far. I don't try to plan too far ahead of myself. We still have another con or two before DragonCon, so I'm still trying to keep my schedule together. But yeah, we're gonna. I think we are on a Friday panel together. I don't know if those are announced, so I don't know if we're even legally allowed to say anything. So saying it on the official Twitch stream seems like the right way to do that. But yeah. Otherwise, I mean, like, God, I'm just so excited to be at in-person cons again. And just excited to see everybody. Definitely, I like I said, I'm trying to meet a hug quota. My numbers last year, my boss has already come to me and just told me I'm on thin ice. So I really got to get some hugs in.
It makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Steph and Hero over here in Austin are like over hugged. And I am starting to feel the pressure from that. And so I am in the same boat as you. DragonCon will be very wrapped up in other people.
Very wrapped up. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Well, we don't put a bow on it until Tuesday, I think. Yeah,
that's right. But yeah, I actually also don't know if our panel schedule is released, but I do know that regardless, on Friday night, Alain and I will be talking, and y'all can join us for that conversation, whether it's an official panel or we're standing in the hallway catching our breath from karaoke.
All are welcome.
Either way.
Yeah, maybe we'll last year I did a thing on our Instagram where I just posted a picture of me in a Wild Pussycats outfit at a random space and was like, hey, first 6 people, I'll GM a little 2-hour adventure for you. So I might do some more pop-up games. We'll see. I think Friday. So yeah, I think Friday I'm part of a Catboy group, so get excited since I think our panel is also Friday. So I'll look very professional in a way. Yeah.
Yes. And I think that's kind of the spirit of DragonCon, right? Is like my first panel at DragonCon was it was a blood feud between our show and Botched, a D&D podcast.
Yeah, they're great. Podcast. I love the Botched.
And they I was wearing a tank top and because I had just dyed my hair for the next morning.
Perfect.
And so
actually, I've heard those stories.
Like an asshole.
Yeah.
And I learned from that you know what? It's probably time to step up my game. That's right. I'm trying to summon the power of someone like you, Alain. And that's really why I'm doing these interviews, is to just kind of collect the wisdom of everyone else that I'm fortunate enough to know, because you have a lot of con experience.
I do.
I was reading your bio on the Goblins and Growlers website, goblinsandgrowlers.com.
Oh my God, look how professional that is.
And I noticed that you have run in the before times, I assume, 100 plus tabletop games a year supporting conventions and local businesses.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that?
Yeah. So I had about a 3.5 year period of time where people were mad at me because of how often I was running Dungeons and Dragons games. I started. So I was one of the founders of Goblins and Growlers. So Goblins and Growlers, real quick, it's we're in Richmond, Virginia, but we're our whole mission is inclusive community through tabletop gaming. It's the whole goal. It's that quick. I've been involved in a lot of LGBTQ plus charities in my life, and just happened to meet kind of the right people at the right time. And we started this thing as a hope of like tearing down some barriers to entry to Dungeons and Dragons or any tabletop role-playing game, because we felt like I don't know how many times you've been in this case. We've talked briefly about how like it started out as like really my Latin teacher. It's not even, I know that that's the joke, but also my Latin teacher did give me my first player's handbook. Yeah. Second edition, I got killed a lot. I learned to let my characters die pretty early on in my age. But yeah, so I started there, and then eventually I got to a point where I was going to game stores and things to play, especially as I traveled around. I don't really have a home. My parents are immigrants, so I traveled a lot. So now I finally have a home in Richmond, which I'm very happy about. But I actually have a home. This is a little tiny home. Zarko's here. She's making sure the home's broken in. So I traveled a lot. I went to a lot of game stores to play, and a lot of times it was kind of like a seats taken sort of situation.
Sure.
Yeah, and so no matter how much experience you have, it's always an awkward place to be, especially when you have to like prove that you should be there or prove you should be at the table, and that comes from a dude who has a little less to prove to be at the table. From my experiences, what I've seen from people, so. And I was a music elitist as a kid, so I learned through doing how not to do. Basically, I was running games everywhere. I had a charity game I ran for a cat cafe here called Central Perk, raising money for TNR efforts in Richmond. I had a charity game for a group, an LGBTQ plus group that I ran that slowly morphed into what was going to be the greatest game ever until COVID canceled it, which was Dungeons and Drag Queens, a game that I was going to be running for Pride last year. To raise money.
So good.
Yeah, we're going to do it again. I mean, I still have all the queens. We've messaged each other. We actually did a digital offline thing just because nobody had played but me before. So it was good to have a little bit, but
good to have a little bit of background before they hop in on that.
Yeah, but yeah,
will that be something that is like for an audience, like as a performance type of situation?
Yeah, it'll be live for sure.
Yeah, that's so awesome.
I prefer live. I definitely, as a GM, I think it's because my limbs are too long to be accurately captured in a camera. So, and I use them a lot to GM. Yeah,
I feel you.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to catch the whole thing, you have to like do this.
Yes.
Right?
And then you've lost the majesty. You're too far from the mic. Your producers are yelling at you. It's just bad news. So, but yeah, and then I did a lot of conventions, just because I could. I like you. I have an improv background. I still do some theater stuff with Quinn Fontaine Studios. I should promote Quinn because Quinn is just a mentor, master, just beautiful person. And he has a new book out. I'm going to promote somebody else. He has a new book out. It's called Hung Like a Seahorse. It's talking about his journey to being a trans man. So it's really funny and really fun and also like really good. It's really good. Hung Like a Seahorse. Yeah. I mean, with a name like that, you can't lose. So
true.
Yeah.
Also was like a go-to move of mine when I was younger. To like lower expectations in pretty much every sense, right?
Yeah.
That way, no matter what happened, no one was disappointed. And it's something that I still carry to this day whenever I talk about anything. But like, I never get that sense from you. Like, you have this confidence in the work that you do to talk about it without being self-deprecating.
Almost anything else, I'm self-deprecating, but I was gonna say almost everything else. I think we tried to calculate it the other day. I've probably GM'd over 1,000 games now. So there's a I don't get too many curveballs these days. Not to say that every game is the same or every group of players does something different, but I'm just very confident now. I talked, whose role is it anyways? They're a group out of Baltimore. Potch is their GM. He's a really good person. They perform a lot for, I've gotten to do some stuff with them for MagFest. They're amazing. But we talked for a while because Potch and we did a panel and somebody asked us why, because we run full improv games regularly. And they're like, well, how do you do that and not feel like you're not prepared? And it's a really good question. And the answer is, tragically, I think my true answer is I know I'm prepared, but only because I've done it for years and years and years. And I don't think I've made all the mistakes, but I'm pretty darn close. Like I can't have too many more mistakes that I'm supposed to make. Yeah. I mean, it really is getting to that point. So
yeah. And I think too, from an improv standpoint, right? Because that is something that, in addition to you, I'm also I went through programs here in Austin at Cold Town Theater. Shout out to Cold Town. They create some of the most incredible artists and then send them everywhere else. And it's so cool. But one of the things that you learn by improvising is that every time you mess up, it's an opportunity to learn how to not do that again, right? And like you were saying, it's about accepting that you're definitely going to mess up.
Yeah.
And so if you take the lessons from those missteps, eventually you're going to get to a point where you're like, oh, this looks really easy. And I'm pretty confident about what's going to happen when I go up there, even though it's impossible to be prepared in an improv setting, right?
Yeah.
So like you were saying, with Dungeons and Dragons, if I've got the background of game experience knowledge and, for our crunchier folks, right, like monster stats or whatever,
yeah.
You don't really need to build anything out if you've got the familiarity with that world, right?
Yeah.
Our DM on Adventure Incorporated does very much the same thing. He knows the world from having, this is a world that he created forever ago, right? And has run a few games in it now. So he knows what's happening in it. So his prep is very little as well, especially as we get kind of moving throughout a campaign, right? Once the pieces start to fall in line, is like, oh yeah, I know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think Anthony too is such a good he's such a good guide. Like he understands how to keep the energy moving in the direction that the party needs to be moving in, which is such a difficult technique, and he does it seamlessly. You can't even tell. It's great. Anthony being the Adventure Inc. GM. I told you earlier, I steal things from Anthony. A good sign of a good GM is you if you see something that you really like, you're like, yeah, absolutely adding that to my repertoire of tools. But yeah, my biggest piece of advice I tell anyone, whether it's at cons or whether it's, I don't know, we're on the street, just some random person, they're not even asking for advice. I just feel like they need it. Like, yeah. Hey, champ. He's on a date at a bar next to me. It's just like make your mistakes as fast as you can. Make them as fast as you can. Yeah. Burn through them. Yeah. Really, I think that's the best way to learn, because don't fear doing. Make your mistakes as fast as you can. You're going to learn. You're going to figure it out. You're going to be really good. But it's going to take a little while, but it takes less time, in my opinion, my experience, if you just...
The faster you screw up.
Yeah, just burn through them. Yeah. They'll imprint. You'll remember everyone. It's, pro and con there, but... That's
right. Yeah, I was going to say, if you have the fortitude to run through those mistakes and then also reflect on them, you are unstoppable officially.
Just keep hitting those walls. True. Yeah.
I think that's true in digital media too, right? The more I do stuff in front of the camera, the more I do stuff on podcasts, the more I realize I'm messing up literally every time. But if I pull one thing, right, from each of those, eventually I'll get good at this.
Yeah.
The more mistakes I make, the more opportunity I have to learn. Unfortunately, it also means y'all, the audience, have to deal with my mistakes in the meantime. But you're making me better, so thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna say the good news. Yeah, the good news is you've made so many to get to this point already. There's a degree, you've crossed a threshold. I mean, it's, you know, that threshold usually is professional mics. But I think that it's one of the weird things for me, having, again, GM'd about 1,000 games. I've done live performances. I've done live performances at conventions for voice actors. I've done all these things, and I'm so excited to do all these things. But then when COVID hit, I realized I'd never run a digital game, not once. Thousands of games, never run a digital game, never. Well, now I have, but it was brutal learning. At first I started to run some digital games just for my friends, because I was like, well, let me get used to like the medium. I know it's going to be different. I didn't realize how different it was going to be. And it's a whole new skill set. It's a whole new, even our podcast had been all in person up to that point. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That was a big, like, I made that push when I was putting the podcast team together. I was like, we have to do it in person. I have a little studio. This is going to happen this way, because I've never, I was the Luddite who was like, something is lost here. But really it was, I don't want to learn a new skill set.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what before the switch over?
Yeah.
What was the piece that you felt was missing in a virtual setting? Because I think it can be true.
Yeah, I think there's what some people call reading the room, what I call vibe check. That exists in a physical space, like the energy between people, that doesn't exist in a digital space. And I still believe that. I've just figured out that there's other things in the digital space that you can like lean on as well. But I need to feel that energy of where people are at. And the other thing too, I am surprised I'm good at this. I was much worse at this when I was younger, but I thought I'd be distracted. I thought I'd be distracted if I wasn't like, I need to commit myself 100% to the thing, or I don't do it well. I do it poorly. As a kid, I multitasked all the time. I did everything poorly, and I was like, I guess I just do things poorly. And then I like dedicated myself to a thing once, and I was like, oh my God, this is what it feels like to be successful. This pine straw was spread so evenly. But so I think that was my big fear as far as my performance goes, is that I wouldn't be able to center myself and be dedicated. And then also I wasn't sure if I'd be able to adapt to a new medium, I guess. Sure. I was in silent film, and then to have to speak and have talking lines, like, how do you I have to really control. My natural voice is 3 octaves too high. I'm like in a performance voice. Yeah.
Understandable. It's very important that we have the dulcet tones that you and I have. For this.
I've got a pitch shifter right here.
There's one acceptable podcast voice, and that's it. And it's the one that you and I are both using now. Any other voice, that's not true. Every voice is perfect for podcasting.
Out of here. Nothing.
But yeah, it like doing digital work is so much of a different beast than being in person, having lectures, or even on the digital media front, right? Like when you record a podcast and you say the wrong thing, you can be like, oh, time out, let's go back and start over here. When you are live, you can't. The thing that you say is the thing that you said, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I was most surprised about is how little that affected Adventure Incorporated at our first con. But then I remembered back to the fact that we were all college improvisers together.
Yeah.
And so we're used to building the plane on the way down, right? As
Yeah.
the saying goes.
Yeah. No shoots.
And so for us, it felt a lot more comfortable to do that. But then I have definitely been at panels where people don't have that comfort level. And I've never had to coach someone through that. Have you?
Yeah, well, that's like my real life, my IRL job. I do a lot of messaging and brand strategy and copy, and then I do a lot of presentation coaching, essentially, for people who really need it, which are engineers and architects. And if you're watching this and you're an engineer and an architect and you're like, do I really need it? Then you do. If you're like, no, I've worked on that, then you're good. Yeah, and so that's my I help people learn how to present, and public speaking is hard. It's really hard. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and so
It's
getting up in front of one
hard.
person or 100 people or 1,000, it doesn't matter it's hard. It's really hard. In some ways, that's one of the one things that like I think people who perform exclusively digitally or who like come up through Twitch or YouTube or whatever, I think that is both a challenge because you're going to have to step into that new medium, just like I did in the opposite direction. And I really had to adjust. I had to do a lot of repetitions with friends, people who I was really comfortable with, to figure out how to do it right, because I was going to be charging people to play Dungeons and Dragons games, and I didn't want to charge them if I didn't feel like I could give them the experience that they deserved. And then, but I also think the flip side of it being, I'm jumping around because it's early, but the flip side of it being difficult to make that step from Twitch to a live audience is or any recording medium, podcasting, while we're here. It also, I think, is a good, like, it eases you in. You're in a space where you can make those mistakes. You can go back and post and edit those, but don't let that be a reason to make those mistakes. Like we said earlier, you learn from them, make them early in your podcast, and then help yourself out, give yourself less editing, make less mistakes. And then you're ready for live performance in a way. I mean, you're never ready when you get in front of people, unless you are. But it's helpful because you learn the parameters of performing, I guess.
Yeah. And it's fun too, because like I almost feel like the smaller crowds are harder and scarier to me.
Yeah.
Once a face is just in a sea of other faces, I'm like, I'll get a couple of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if it's like 10 people in the room, I'm like, if there's one of those faces that hates me, I'm gonna find it and it's gonna crush me.
Yeah. I have my confession in what is it, like 15 years of performing, something like that now. I don't think I've ever looked at a face individually in the audience. Yeah.
Really?
I've always spaced above. I understand. I know people who talk about like find your person, and that's your person. And so then you can, hopefully find a good one, so you can have some type of positive feedback. I've always just like allowed the lights to blind me and not refocused.
I love that. I am so the opposite. That's so interesting to me, because for me, like, I grew up playing baseball. And so like travel team, right? The first thing you do is you pick someone out on the other team and you just shoot them a look, right? And you try and intimidate them. You try and
give
get in their head.
Give me your look real quick.
Well, it depends. Like, what look am I, like, what the thing is that I'm trying to do, right? Like, if I'm trying to be intimidating, I don't really have a good face for that, but I can make people like unsettled by giving them one of these.
Ooh, yeah. That's
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why that guy's looking at me like that. And then it starts to like kind of get in their head a little, right?
Yeah.
And
if I was a pitcher, I'd have control issues right now. I definitely would walk you. Yeah.
Part of the problem is that like in certain comedy spaces, the audience and the performer have a little bit of an adversarial relationship, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Occasionally. And so part of it is like trying to switch the power dynamic a little bit in that like emotional response way, right?
Yeah.
I know that they have all of that once the lights come up and the show is happening. And so before the show starts happening, how do I make myself comfortable? And
Mm-hmm.
either that's one thing that we used to do a lot, the Adventure Incorporated crew and I, is we would walk through the crowd and thank everyone for being there.
Yeah.
Like, and we would try to make a personal connection with someone in the crowd.
Yeah.
Uh, we stole that for Dragon Con and it was awesome.
Nice.
Like as the crowd started to come in to the room, we
Yeah.
would walk up and thank them for being there, right? Hey, thanks so much for coming to the panel. We hope you really like it. Da, 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 right? And like starting a rapport right away,
Yeah.
especially because it was Sunday morning was our slot. We had the Sunday morning 10 a.m. slot,
Yeah. Prime.
which yeah,
Powerful.
prime spot in
Yeah.
Dragon Con weekend.
Yeah.
And so it was about kind of trying to break down that barrier right away.
Yeah.
What are your barrier breakdown moves?
Yeah. I mean, I do warm-ups. I do improv warm-ups all the time and vocal warm-ups, because if you GM X number of games and you're not doing vocal warm-ups, you're in trouble. I also have this bad holdover from improv where I don't like to be mic'd.
Mm-hmm.
So I like
Mm-hmm.
to be further back and just project really loudly. And it's a bad habit when you're doing a lot of stuff at a convention, because you will lose your voice. You will. It'll happen. It'll happen when you least want or expect it. I've got a game coming up. I'm going to be at Queen City Anime Con. Actually, all of Goblins and Growlers. Goblins and Growlers got hired to do we were exclusive adventures for Queen City Anime Con. So if anybody's going to Charlotte, Queen City Anime Con, yeah, we have 3 really cool adventures, including the reprisal of Space Wolf Daddy for people who are excited about that adventure. Yeah, it's a life of its
I don't
own.
know what it is.
Yeah, it's got T-shirts. The guy Jonah Scoot. I GM for him. He's the voice of Legacy and Beastars, and he wears Space Wolf Daddy shirts proudly in many. Yeah. So okay. So exclusive adventures, but I also got hired to do some main stage stuff. So I'm going to be GMing for QCAC, and usually what I do as my whenever I have those, especially where I know it's going to be a large audience, I never build a rapport beforehand. Not to say that that's a good idea, because it's a great idea, but I'm always I don't get before show nerves. I get after show nerves. Literally right when it's done, I go, man, wait, what all went wrong? It just all kind of collapses on me. What actually happened over the course of whatever. But beforehand, I really especially if I'm with people who are not improv people, to force them to do improv warm-ups. You know how uncomfortable those can be. I really like if I can get people to do the 30 seconds of eye contact with no other, just to really internalize, understand the face, really focus on all the different features, and then give one genuine compliment afterwards. I try to get people to do that. I get mixed reviews on whether people are willing to do that or not, but I definitely, yeah.
Can I confess something right now, Alain?
Please, yeah.
I love improv warm-up games.
Yeah.
My fiance hates them. Hates. Yep, there she is in chat. Corgle says, and I hate them. But to me, they're so silly and so fun. And so I try to steal the serious ones, like you're mentioning, right? Either 30 seconds of silence, or we do one where it's about physical contact, where you huddle up like you're a sports team, and everybody says one thing that they want themselves to focus on. and one thing that they want the group to focus on.
Ooh, very positive. Yeah.
And so the way that one helped me is because I always do the doom spiral after the show. Always do the doom spiral. Like, oh, I don't know why I bother, because clearly I made these 600 mistakes. But if I meet the thing that I wanted to do before the show, and I get as much of the everybody else wanted me to do this as I can, if I hit those two things, I feel 100 times better.
Yeah.
So Alain, if you want to steal that one for yourself to see if it stops that doom spiral, it's a gift for you.
I accept the doom spiral. If I don't get it, I think something went wrong. Like, oh no, now it's something really did go wrong. No, I like, I was gonna say the flip side of them being silly and fun is that they're also like really awkward and sometimes loud. Both I think are really important to just being in the right performance headspace. So I definitely, and sometimes too, because I do this a lot of times with anime voice actors, and sometimes they haven't done anything like this, and it's just fun to see them step out of their comfort zone to whatever degree they want to. I also really do, like, I love in the same 30 seconds of silence is the same as face mirror. If I can't get them to 30 seconds of silence, we'll do face mirror and just like kind of like, you see how, exactly. Thank you. You're on it. And then, our body mirror or whatever. It's that's kind of, I do those things. I like to get the people in a weird headspace before we go out. I really like starting off shows very weird. Like, that's my ideal situation. One, because it's a nice hook. If you're an audience member, you're like, wow, okay, so exactly. I'm now way more vested than I thought I would be. And I've also started to I stole this from, you guys can steal this too, because it's great. Just make sure you say that whose role is it anyways did it first. So that Eric doesn't come after me with a scythe. I think he probably has one. But I will have I'll have somebody go around and do a what would it be called? Mad Libs, where you fill in the space.
Yep.
I have somebody go around and get a bunch of Mad Libs suggestions from the audience. So if ever I feel like I really want to throw a wild card, I'll just draw a card and use that as my whatever space in my GMing. So it'll be like, and you're in the inn and you are talking to 3 amphibians playing fiddle and slapping their knees at a joke you didn't hear. And then it's like, here you are. Yeah.
That's actually a really cool audience participation move, right? Something that I think live shows that I've been a part of can tend to forget that, like, a lot of a convention is Q&A and audience interaction and handing things back out to the crowd to own. And so I really, really love that. That's a super cool move.
Like I said, I would like to claim it, but it's Eric's. He crushes it.
Thank you, Eric. And also, I'm just going to tell everyone it's mine.
Do it. Do it. He'll come after me. He won't come after you. So
that's right. I've never met the guy.
Yeah. He's also got the other thing I want to do. I've commissioned somebody already to make this for me. I don't know if it'll be done in time for QCAC. Maybe I'll bring it to Dragon Con, but I want to have a literal 5-foot dice D20, 5 by 5. Fun. Yeah. And he'll just chuck it into the audience. And he's like, whatever number you guys want it to be, that's the roll.
That's really good. Yeah. We've talked about stuff like that in the past. It's so enticing and also so scary.
Yeah. Side note, speaking of scary, I just realized, so I was on this private chat the whole time. I thought the chat was just quiet, but then you talked about how Steph commented and showed a comment. I was like, well, I'm seeing nothing. So I clicked on comments and now there's so many things over here. And if I missed you talking to me or sending me a question or anything, I pre-apologize.
Chat's going ham for us this morning.
Doing it, yeah.
Digital media track is bumping. 10 a.m. slot
Yeah.
is hip this week.
Those of you who are here with me who are vegan vegetarian, chat is also going Satan this morning. Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
yeah.
That's right. You're right. You're right.
With
You're
Earth
right.
balance, just a nice chill. Yeah, no, it's good. We need the balance. You need both. Yeah,
going hard peanut butter this morning.
Yeah, ooh, hard peanut butter.
Crunchy
Sounds
AF
interesting
out there.
Yeah, Mike's hard peanut butter. Digital media track.
So we've talked a lot about performing at cons so far. I want to shift focus a little bit because something you said just before we went on air was so interesting to me, that teenage you couldn't ever imagine becoming a professional DM as a real life thing.
Yeah.
It's so true, right? That here we are in 2021. I started playing D&D. Oh God. I was
don't do the math. It's bad news. Yeah.
Yeah. 24 years ago, almost 25 years ago now. Much like you, mine wasn't a Latin teacher, but it was the Odyssey of the Mind class.
Yeah, perfect.
Which is it's supposed to be a very cool independent study style class where you create a project and you present whatever it is as younger kids. And for us, it was where they put all the kids that were too clever and lazy to know what else to do with them. And that's where we played Dungeons and Dragons.
Clever and lazy is a dangerous combination.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we never got a project done, but I did build I built a necromancer who was killed right away when he walked into the bar and met the paladin in the party. Who just murdered me in front of everyone else.
You got to learn about the power of God early. That's important.
Right away.
Yeah.
And then I started to understand how the game works, and obviously built a ranger as my second character. But yes, I can't imagine a world where that kid had professional Dungeons and Dragons players and game masters to look up to. What I would have become. Right. What are what?
Yeah.
I guess is the whole question.
Yeah. Just a question mark. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love Odyssey of the Mind. I can't believe that wasn't taught by a Latin teacher. It says Odyssey right there. It seems like an easy, low hanging extra 4 credits. But I started early. I played often, but I played often in secret. I came from a very religious family. Anyone who knows too much about me, very well aware that I am not that. But it took me a long time. For that. Yeah. So I hid my Dungeons and Dragons. I had, those little snake lights for your Game Boy Color. I had one of the Game Boy Color. I had the snake light. I'd tip the snake light. I'd go under my covers and I'd use it to read Dungeons and Dragons books. It's a real story. I remember getting my 3.5 edition Player's Handbook and just devouring it. And then I'd have to listen for the creaky stairs of my mom coming up so I could put it all under. I put it in between my mattress and the bed, so it was impossible. Because she'd check under my bed. I also was doing that for reading like that for a long time, and I had a bad habit of reading till 5 a.m. But now it's a good habit. People are like, that's a good skill to have. Just reading in general. I think I'm lucky. I can't write, but I can read. So played with this group of other social outcasts, and we all were socially outcasted together, which was really great because up until that point, I was pretty much socially outcast alone. Yeah. So I really, it was nice to have others to, one, know you're not alone. In the days pre-internet, it was hard to know you weren't alone. And so I really appreciated the few opportunities I had to know I wasn't alone. And then the other thing is that I played a character who was absolutely just wish fulfillment. That was my first handful of characters. And
everyone else did too.
Everyone else did too. And I'm grateful I did because I learned how to be confident by playing a confident character in Dungeons and Dragons. I truly believe that because I was very much not a confident person for most of my formative years. I was very much the opposite. And I played this character who was like, he always knew what to do, and he was always ready for anything to strike. And he was named after this neoclassical guitarist who I wanted to be when I grew up, and he had long flowing blonde hair, which I did end up having for a little while. So
half flowing.
Yeah, I did. I realized the other day my favorite character growing up that I always was like, I want to be that guy, was this guy named Troa Barton from Gundam Wing. When it went to kind of like the third edition of Gundam Wing, he was a Gundam pilot. And the other day I realized I have his exact hair. He has this hair. It goes a little bit further out, but it's this exact hair. So
it sure is.
Yeah, it really imprinted deep into me. It took me 8 years of having this hair before I was like, oh, I got the Troa Barton hair. I did
it. Easy. I'm just saying that's a really easy cosplay.
I need to get that clown suit.
If I don't see it in September, I'll be pretty bummed.
Yeah, after my cat boys day one, you gonna join us? Be a cat boy?
I've never been a cat boy, but it seems easy enough. Is
it
just
that's Tail? I was gonna say our requirements are ears, tail, and crop top. I think are our requirements for the group.
Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah. We'll talk more. We have more going. Everybody's themed, and we all have different colors. And we have bells. If you hear bells at DragonCon, run as far away as you can. Bad news. Like Johannes. Johannes has the long flowing blonde hair. I need to look into chat more often. I'm so sorry. I'm so bad at this medium when it comes to that. Yes. So I can't imagine that there was a professional dungeon master at the time. There might have been in LA or something who's really crushing it. But I was I don't know. Dungeons and Dragons was such a thing you just don't talk about. It was just universally, if you found somebody, and because they wore some type of like either vaguely coded shirt or they made too many Conan references, then you guys held it close. You didn't let it go. Yeah, I was the same, only with I did Thundercats. I made too many Thundercats references. So if you found that group, you just held it close. You never let it go. But the problem is I was moving all the time. Trying to figure out some concepts similar to the question you asked earlier of like why or what. Eventually it just kind of like all of a sudden it crossed that threshold, and all of a sudden Dungeons and Dragons was the thing that wasn't only talked about but celebrated, and it seemed too real. But once I started doing the charity games, even pre Goblins and Growlers, and I started to get people who wanted to come and pay money to play a game that was run by me, that was pretty surreal. I mean, like once you start to hit that point, once that you cross that first threshold and you build an audience of people who let's be honest, they're paying money to get cats taken care of in the area and then also play a Dungeons and Dragons game. But we got to a point where we were selling out. People, we couldn't have more people. We couldn't meet capacity. And I think that's kind of like right when Goblins and Growlers started up, and we had that one game where we had like 110 players come to a local brewery to play with us. And you start to, when that happens, you're in a town like Richmond and you have that kind of community start to be built around people who, a lot of them have never played before. A lot of them have amazing stories of why they haven't played. And it really just shows you the how amazing it is that the community is starting to have more diversity in its creation, because of course then there's more diversity in the people who want to play it, and the stories are better because it's all collaborative storytelling experiences. You're well aware from Adventure Inc. Shenanigans, and when everybody weighs in, that's when you get something that like no one could ever create themselves, like no matter how many editors in the world you had, and it just transcends into this collective experience. And that's where we started to get to the last, what is it, like 6 years, which seems insane. It didn't seem like that could ever happen ever. Like, right. It's hard to tell younger people. I'm young, but younger people in their 20s.
I'm hip. I'm in it.
Yeah, come on. I got my longboard somewhere. But it's up to tell people in their 20s just how weird it was. Yeah.
It's incredible. And I think digital media has so much to do with that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, obviously
well done. That was good tie-in. It was perfect.
Thank you. But it's true, because there are actual celebrities out there playing Dungeons and Dragons on screen for you to see, right? Like people like Joe Manganiello and Vin Diesel and like all of these people that are, way up here, right? Like Nerd Poker came out and it was like, oh, some of my favorite comedians play D&D together. Well, of course they do. Brian Posehn is obviously a D&D player.
Yeah.
You knew that the first time you saw him walk out on stage on an open mic. You were like, oh, look at this dungeon master.
I have played with this man 100 times before in different iterations. Yeah.
But I had never played with a guy like Vin Diesel. I had never played with a guy like Joe Manganiello. I had never played with, sports guys, right? I had never played, at the time, I had never played with a woman,
Yeah.
And here we are now. Some of the best D&D out there is all female. It's all POC. It's all, and the stories are so cool. It's amazing. And content, like digital content, has been what really, to me, opened my eyes to this is like a thing, right? Gosh. I don't like, I almost get too caught up in the emotion of it when I talk about it, because it's just so special and so amazing.
You can cry before noon. I've done it plenty of times. It's good. It's really therapeutic. The rest of the day is great after that.
Once you've let that go, right?
Yeah. It's good. It's good to do. I mean, it's exactly that. Just like anything, I mean, anyone here from the queer community knows that media typecasts a lot of representation. So there's only like one true, I don't know, like you have to check these boxes in order to be.
Yeah.
And it's the same obviously with nerds. And funny that like nerds, I'm going through this weird existential phase right now where like what does nerds mean, because it's such a like it's such a wide reaching arc at this point that it's hard to even say that really means anything. I think but there was a time where it was like only it was only the like overweight, neckbeard, lives with his mom. Like they had these things they had to check this before they were allowed to put it in media. And it's like, what if we make him self-sufficient? No, that movie is, you get lower budget. Okay, fine, we'll do what you say. So it's to see the representation and all the amazing writers coming out of right now with challenging not just like the status quo, but how you, especially from a GM, how you run a game to make sure that it is an inclusive game, which we do a lot of reading. This is my 5 a.m. reading adventures of just so many people are putting out amazing materials, and it's because we've been able to get out of our own way, I guess. I think most of tabletop gaming has been in its own way. Whether you consider
a lot of like shutting up and listening, right?
Yeah.
Which I think we could all benefit from doing every once in a while. And that's such a hard line in digital media, right? Like you make your, like, your passion is putting out your thoughts and your opinions and your, your creation into the world.
Yeah.
And the way to make that better is, ironically, not to say anything.
Yeah, I know we're close to wrap up, but I one of the best pieces of advice that I ever got. It's a very common improv piece of advice, but it's don't let what's going on in here impede your genius. And it comes back to the whole, like, don't let your constant thinking like get in the way of like what's here, this connection. And shutting up and listening and figuring out where the space is where you're supposed to put your connection into the world and connect with others in the same way. I think if there's one thing that's tough for me for digital media, I know we've already hit this a lot, but like not having that audience is very difficult for me. I'm a pretty like deadpan guy. You can tell I'm European. It's if I didn't wear it on my face, literally, I wear it on my sleeves. So I kind of need that one person laughing. I always say, to make your jokes for yourself. As long as you enjoy them, they're going to be amazing. Like, even if no one else gets them, at least you have a better time.
Right.
But if you have that one person in the audience who, like, my favorite thing is being in a large audience and making a really just a deadpan joke and having one person laugh at it and no one else does. And I'm like, I'm so happy that I ostracized that person with my niche 7-level deep joke. But also, you and me, man, I don't make eye contact. Again, I space out into the lights, but I hear the laugh, and and I know that person's going to come up and they're going to shake my hand too hard afterwards, and I'm going to say, I'm going to buy you a drink.
That reference, that's for one person. That's like my whole goal.
It's the shtick. That's why it's nice to be a sports fan. It's easy. Those are some of your easy low-hanging fruits. Yeah. You make a Balotelli reference because you're doing something that you obviously shouldn't be doing. You're like, well, why shouldn't I be doing it? Oh, Mario Balotelli. And then you like walk away. One person laughs. You're like, heck yeah.
Because I'm rich.
Right.
Is like, that's my Mario Balotelli punchline always. Yeah. Whenever I want to make a Balotelli reference, it's because I'm rich.
Yeah. What's he pulled up he had the undershirt that said, why always me? Why always me?
Alain, I'm so glad we talked about Mario Balotelli on the digital media track.
It needed to happen. Morning. Yeah, that's my one checklist. We huddled together. I said the one thing I want to do at the end of this. And then I said our one team thing I want to do is have a bunch of people here engaged. I know a lot of you guys, I saw some questions. I know we couldn't get to them. You can always ask me on the Goblins and Growlers Discord. And I know there's probably questions for Mike. Mike's part of Adventure Inc. In addition, and Pokédexpert, and you can jump onto Adventure Inc. for sure has a Discord as well.
It's true. It's popping.
So go and ask Mike questions as well. I don't know how much longer we're on the stream, but
I was gonna say, are you stealing my
you're managing the links. I remember I talked about it. I can't multitask, so I just figure other people.
You're right.
You're crushing it right now.
So the outro that I had written was, thanks again to Alain. Where can people find you? But you already did that. goblinsandgrowlers.com. But we will be back in 2 weeks. Actually, we will be back in 1 week, because I was at the beach last weekend and this should have happened last Sunday, but it didn't. So I will be back in 1 week with a new guest. If you had fun hanging out today, please tell all your friends and come check us out next week with your morning coffee. Share this VOD when it hits YouTube and invite everybody to follow the channel. As we get closer to DragonCon 2021, we'll be doing even more stuff to hype everybody up for con. Last week, we had a secret surprise stream where a bunch of creators and Alex from Quid Pro Roll ran a D&D one shot that was super fun, very funny. If you want to hear the adventures of a horse named Potato, please check out that VOD. It's on the channel right now, and then it should hopefully get uploaded to the YouTube. Also, on a kind of serious note, please check out dragoncon.org/about/charity for information on DragonCon's 2021 designated charity partner, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Metro Atlanta. Through one-to-one mentoring, BBB SMA helps at-risk youth develop and discover their full potential, succeed academically, and build confidence, developing skills that lead to increased economic mobility. Everything that we try to do is to up each other in the community. And since this is a DragonCon specific stream, let's make sure to up the community of Atlanta by supporting Big Brothers Big Sisters. Thank you all so much. Alain, this was fantastic. I really appreciate all of the minutes that we spent here today. I appreciate knowing that we can talk about the football in September.
Yeah.
And
let's get that Braves team renamed. Let's go Hammers. Let's go Hammers.
Let's go Atlanta Baseball Club. ABC, baby.
ABC.
Thank you all so much. We're going to sign out because I'm going to go get a chicken biscuit.
Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna go and get just a vegan arugula biscuit. So we're hitting everybody. Yeah, everybody. Thank you guys so much for the time. Obviously, you all are the best. Definitely check out more of Mike's stuff. Adventure Inc. Like I said, their Discord's right next door. So if you're in the area, yeah,
just swing by.
Swing on by.
Cake and pie.
Mm-hmm. And I hear they have chicken biscuits coming soon. So put that order in now.
That's right. Take care, y'all.